I just feel like it's not being played fair. If you want to give me a percentage to pay, then maybe go off an 08's bill and make me pay a percentage of 08. That would be fair. But to
understand your position.
I mean, we're a nonprofit organization that is out to better Muskegon.
Well, so is the city.
And absolutely. And we are dedicated to making sure Muskegon stays working by only dealing with local vendors and stuff like that. So we don't have a huge chunk of change to ask me 30 days in advance.
Ms. Carey, all of that is relevant, and all of it is important, and we understand and we respect all of that. But you mentioned that you hired private security force to come in here so that the city wouldn't have to have as many police officers down there and do that. Well, that's not the way most cities operate. They don't say, well, you go hire a private security force to come in and that alleviates us from doing that. I don't think the citizens of the city of Muskegon at an event or within their community feels nearly as safe with a private security company as they do with their police officers that are there. And I'm not certain that whether you went and said, if we hire a private security department, will that alleviate any costs? And I feel quite certain that you probably didn't. However, your probably intentions were good to try to save yourself some dollars. Maybe you need to take a look to try to find some dollars as to not have the private security department there as you look at your bottom line. I'm not certain. You know, I'll ask Chief if as I recall from Taste of Muskegon, I don't recall it being 4 blocks long. Maybe it was 4 blocks long. I recall it being more 2 blocks long. But what can you explain a little bit for the commission the difference between a Taste of Muskegon event in the same area, a bike time event, which is basically downtown, and what you're seeing here for Shoreline? And then I guess my next question is are these numbers based on the event not changing anything? Are these numbers that are solid numbers, or if I mean, I know that we have to schedule our police officers. So have we ever called them off of a special event if a rainstorm came in and there isn't anybody down there, or if the numbers indicated that there wouldn't be enough people down there? So,
which question would you like me to answer first?
Whichever one pops into your head first.
Sure. Taste of Muskegon is a relatively small area event, usually one large beer tent. I did think they expanded a little bit this year. When you look at the area that has been asked for, it includes Western and some side streets, Hackley Park, and while we haven't granted exclusive use of Western, I'll say east of 3rd Street, it is going to be utilized, and there's going to be activities going on. You know, we looked at, again, the area involved, the beer tent, the fact that bars could come into play. Again, I based on what my staff recommended to me as they worked through this, I actually reduced it a little bit, knowing, you know, certainly to cut them a slack, it's a new event. The figures that we've been given off and on are up to 30,000 people. And then finally, certainly if there are no crowds and there are not the need for police officers, we can ask to release officers, I mean, amongst the officers, but certainly we have a contractual obligation, and once they're signed up and they're assigned. So certainly, yes, we have sought volunteers to leave, and they have, but they don't have to because they've made that commitment. So could there be a reduction in cost? Certainly there could be, based upon the fact that there's not a lot of activity. If it's a rainy weekend, I would assume that would keep numbers down. But we can kind of only ask the officers once we made those assignments if they want to go. And usually we get some that will leave. Others will not. They've committed their day to the event and made their life plans around having to work on this given day. So if that answers.
Okay.
Could I just clarify a point? When he's talking about contractual obligations, that's not with the event.
It's our labor contract.
It's with a labor contract.
Labor contract, yes.
Okay.
Labor contract, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor? Thank you. You know, I certainly respect the request that's been made. I think we all appreciate the concerns. Certainly, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion if it had been 5 years ago and our cash flow was different than, you know, what we've dealt with state revenue sharing cuts and reductions in our income tax and property tax revenue, and quite frankly, the reduction in our staffing levels to support these types of events. But I'm not sensing from any of my fellow commissioners a desire to change the actions that our staff have taken in this matter. And I do see there are other people in the audience who may wish to speak to the commission, and I really think it perhaps would be appropriate to thank you for your concerns and see if there's other people who wish to address the commission before it gets too much later. Thank you, Your Honor.
Is there anyone here on the body that wants to consider, I guess there's two issues, and it's the amount of police officers and the police costs that are here, and then the other one would be the security deposit as such. Is there anyone that is interested in pursuing with the fellow commissioners the request for security deposit on services rendered? None? Okay. And I don't think any of us are going to touch police officers, so is there anybody here interested in touching police officers?
I want to touch a police officer.
All right. Well, Ms. Carey, there's not anyone up on this body who will make the final decision that's willing to change what the staff has brought forward, so.
And I make one final statement? The new beach boxing and barbecue that just happened 2 weekends ago was not charged up front, and they were a brand-new event that they didn't know, and it involved fighting, which is a risk, and yet they were not charged up front.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Bordeaux, is there Mr. Bordeaux here? Thank you. Mr. Pastor. Name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Tom Pastor. I live at 1291 Terrace Street, and I'm here this evening to speak to the Commission concerning an event that took place in our community almost a year ago. A young man was killed by a Muskegon police officer. That officer endured some incredible injuries, and the young man that was involved had his sister recently convicted and sentenced to jail for her failure to make true statements to the police. We have a community that has seen this incident bring laser light focus to the fact that there is an incredible difference in how our residents see the actions of the police department, and namely the Muskegon Police Department. And I am requesting and have requested of Chief Kleibecker, and I am looking forward to a positive response to begin a dialogue. With all due respect, Commissioner Carter, I believe there is still time to talk about the differences and how we can move forward with better police-community relations. It is very, very clear to me that this city is in need of a dialogue. The citizens learning about the Muskegon Police Department and their efforts to keep citizens safe and their processes and procedures, and for the officers that serve this city to understand the community and how they see the police. I look forward to a positive response from the chief. Thank you.
Mr. Pasteur. I would suggest that perhaps at the first meeting that we have be amongst yourself, the residents of McLaughlin neighborhood. I think that's the way your letter to the Chronicle and the copy to us was there. And I would suggest that we have that with a few of us that are elected officials.
That would be great.
and we'll go through it that way. I'm not going to request a staff member to go in and meet with folks. Let's do it through the elected officials, let the elected officials begin to have the dissertation with staff as needed, and then if there's a need for us all to come together, which hopefully, I'm sure you're hoping there is, that we process it in that particular manner.
Well, I look forward to hearing from you about a date and time when that can
Okay.
happen.
And the only other thing I would suggest is I would hope that you would say that a Muskegon resident died in a confrontation between a Muskegon resident and a police officer rather than the word killed.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else that would care to address the commission tonight? Commissioner Carter?
Seeing no one, motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Wait, support.